The night air was thick, with an eerie stillness as I stood before the looming silhouette of the abandoned asylum. The moon barely managed to cast feeble rays through the dense clouds, creating an otherworldly glow around the decaying structure. I could feel the weight of the past pressing down on me, as if the very walls held the tortured souls of those who had once inhabited this forsaken place. My fascination with urban exploration, or Urbex, as it's commonly known, had led me to this desolate asylum. Its crumbling facade spoke volumes of the horrors that had unfolded within its walls. The barred windows seemed to stare back at me like hollow eyes, telling tales of despair and insanity. Against my better judgment, fueled by a morbid curiosity, I stepped into the abyss that was the asylum. The air inside was thick, with a musty scent, a cocktail of decay and forgotten memories. The darkness swallowed me whole as I moved through the corridors. Guided only by the dim glow of my flashlight, the silence was oppressive, broken only by the creaking of floorboards beneath my cautious steps. It was as if the asylum itself held its breath, waiting for me to uncover its secrets. As I wandered deeper into the heart of the asylum, the temperature plummeted, and an unsettling feeling of being watched set in. My footsteps echoed in the empty hallways, reverberating through the desolation. I tried to shake off the growing sense of unease, convincing myself that it was merely my imagination playing tricks on me. I reached a set of rusted double doors, slightly ajar. Pushing them open, I found myself in a vast, dilapidated hall. The ceiling was adorned with decaying chandeliers, their once grand crystals now shattered and scattered across the floor. Faint whispers seemed to dance on the edge of hearing, and I strained to make out the words. It was as though the very walls held conversations from a bygone era. My flashlight flickered ominously, casting long shadows that seemed to writhe and twist in the corners of the room. I shook my head, attributing the odd occurrences to the deteriorating state of the asylum. But then, in the darkness, I glimpsed fleeting figures, shadowy apparitions that moved just beyond the reach of my light. A cold shiver ran down my spine as I pressed forward, drawn deeper into the asylum's heart. The whispers grew louder, morphing into agonized moans that seemed to echo through the asylum's tortured history. My senses were on high alert, every creak and groan amplifying the sinister atmosphere that surrounded me. Turning a corner, I stumbled upon a door that stood ajar, revealing a room bathed in an otherworldly glow. The walls were adorned with faded, peeling wallpaper, and in the center of the room stood an ancient crib. A sense of dread washed over me as I approached, and my heart pounded in my chest. As I peered into the crib, I saw a tattered porcelain doll lying amidst the rotting blankets. Its lifeless eyes seemed to follow me, and a haunting lullaby filled the air. Panic set in, and I bolted from the room, the ghostly melody echoing in my ears. I retraced my steps, desperate to escape the asylum's grasp. The whispers transformed into anguished wails, and the air grew thick with an oppressive energy. The shadows that had lurked in the corners now seemed to converge, forming a suffocating darkness that threatened to consume me. With each step, the asylum fought to keep me within its clutches, its spectral inhabitants revealing their tortured tales. I could feel their pain, their sorrow seeping into my very soul. As I reached the entrance, the asylum seemed to exhale a final, mournful sigh, a symphony of lost souls bidding me farewell. As I stepped back into the moonlit night, the asylum stood in silent defiance, a relic of horror and despair. The whispers faded into the distance, but their echoes lingered in my mind. The line between reality and the supernatural had blurred, leaving me haunted by the memories of a place that time had forgotten, but the spirits within refused to release. The asylum would forever remain a chilling reminder that some secrets are better left buried in the shadows of the past. It was a crisp autumn evening when my friend Mark and I decided to embark on our latest Urbex adventure. Armed with flashlights, cameras, and a shared passion for exploring forgotten places, we found ourselves standing before the rusted gates of an abandoned factory on the outskirts of town. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and decay, and the factory loomed before us like a silent sentinel, guarding its long-buried secrets. As we pushed open the creaking gate, the silence of the industrial graveyard enveloped us. Broken windows stared blankly from the factory's weathered facade, shattered glass crunching beneath our feet. The moon cast an ethereal glow on the skeletal remains of machinery that lay scattered across the factory floor. Our excitement mingled with a palpable sense of trepidation as we stepped into the darkness within. First hallway we entered seemed frozen in time, walls adorned with peeling paint and faded graffiti. Our footsteps echoed eerily in the emptiness, creating a haunting cadence that resonated through the desolate corridors. It was easy to imagine the ghostly whispers of the factory's past workers, their voices lingering in the air like a spectral presence. As we delved deeper into the heart of the factory, the atmosphere became increasingly oppressive. Shadows played tricks on our senses, dancing along the walls and creating fleeting illusions. Every distant creak and metallic groan seemed to echo with the memories of a time long gone. Our exploration led us to a vast room filled with towering machines, their metallic skeletons groaning with the weight of years. Amidst the industrial relics, we discovered a staircase leading down into an abyss of darkness. The air grew colder with each step, and a foreboding silence settled in. It was as though the factory itself held its breath, awaiting our descent into the unknown. The lower levels revealed a network of tunnels, their walls damp and slick with moisture. Our flashlights flickered sporadically, casting long shadows that seemed to writhe and twist. The oppressive silence was broken only by the distant drip of water, a haunting rhythm that added to the sense of unease. As we navigated the labyrinthine passages, we stumbled upon a room that seemed frozen in time. Dust covered desks, faded blueprints, and abandoned tools painted a vivid picture of a once bustling workspace. Among the remnants, a single chair sat facing a crumbling chalkboard covered in indecipherable scribbles. The air in the room felt charged with an otherworldly energy, and the temperature dropped drastically. A sudden sound echoed through the stillness, a soft shuffle of footsteps. Mark and I exchanged uneasy glances, our senses on high alert. The chilling realization set in that we might not be alone in this forsaken place. We moved cautiously, following the faint sounds to another corridor. Around a bend, we saw a figure standing in the shadows, a silhouette of a person hunched and unmoving. Fear crawled up my spine as we approached, our flashlights revealing a face etched with despair. The figure wore tattered overalls, hands clutching an ancient wrench. Eyes devoid of life stared through us, as if pleading for release from the spectral chains that bound them to this decaying realm. We stumbled backward, our pulses quickening as the figure dissolved into the darkness. The factory seemed to sigh, its machinery groaning in unison, as if mourning the loss of life within its cold, metallic embrace. With a newfound urgency, we retraced our steps through the tunnels and up the staircase. The oppressive air lifted as we emerged into the moonlit night, the abandoned factory looming behind us like a dormant beast. As we glanced back one last time, the factory seemed to exhale a final, mournful breath, its secrets forever sealed in the shadows we had dared to disturb. Mark and I walked away from that forsaken place, changed, haunted by the spectral remnants of the forgotten factory. The echoes of the past lingered in our minds, a chilling reminder that some places, no matter how abandoned, never truly let go of the stories embedded in their decaying walls. The invitation to explore Blackthorn Manor came in the form of a cryptic message from an anonymous source. A dilapidated mansion on the outskirts of town. It bore the weight of untold stories, whispered about in hushed tones among the Urbex community. Intrigued by the challenge, my friend Emma and I couldn't resist the lure of the abandoned estate. As we approached the decaying gates, the twisted ironwork groaned in protest, casting long shadows on the overgrown path. The manor, an imposing structure, emerged from the darkness like a forgotten relic. Its windows, shattered and hollow, stared out like vacant eyes, watching as we cautiously stepped into the realm of the unknown. Our flashlights cut through the thick darkness that enveloped the grand foyer. A chill ran down my spine as the echoes of our footsteps bounced off the ornate walls, giving life to the ghostly silence that pervaded the manor. The air seemed to carry the scent of antiquity and decay, as if the very essence of the past clung to every corner. We navigated through corridors adorned with faded wallpaper and creaking floorboards. The oppressive stillness seemed to intensify with each step, like a heavy curtain descending upon us. The manor's secrets whispered through the air, but we pressed on, determined to unravel the mysteries held within Blackthorn's crumbling walls. In a forgotten parlor, we discovered a grand piano, its keys coated in a layer of dust. As our fingers brushed the keys, a dissonant melody filled the air, though no living soul had played it for years. The haunting music echoed through the manor, weaving a tale of forgotten elegance and melancholy. A cold draft whispered through the room, extinguishing our flashlights, plunging us into a suffocating darkness. Panicked, we fumbled for our flashlights, and as the beams flickered back to life, we found ourselves standing in a different part of the manor. The air hung heavy with a spectral energy, and the walls seemed to pulse with a malevolent force. Unease settled in as we realized the manor was toying with us, guiding our journey through its twisted corridors. The descent into the bowels of Blackthorn revealed hidden passages and secret rooms, each more unsettling than the last. Murmurs, like distant conversations, filled the air, leaving us with an unshakable feeling of being watched. The manor's history, shrouded in darkness, seeped into our consciousness, and the line between reality and the supernatural blurred. In a forgotten library, we uncovered journals dating back decades. Pages yellowed with age told tales of tragedy, madness, and a family cursed by their own secrets. As we delved deeper into the manor's sordid history, the temperature plummeted, and shadows seemed to dance along the walls, forming grotesque shapes that defied the laws of nature. A flickering candle drew our attention to a hidden staircase that spiraled into the abyss below. Reluctantly, we descended, the air growing colder with each step. The darkness clung to us like a shroud, and the whispers of the past grew into anguished cries. Faces, twisted in agony, flashed before our eyes, leaving us paralyzed in a sea of torment. In the heart of the manor, we stumbled upon a forgotten ballroom, frozen in time. Torn curtains billowed in a phantom breeze, and the room seemed to come alive with the ghostly laughter of a celebration long past. The spirits of revelry twisted into tormented apparitions, their joy replaced by an eternity of suffering. As we attempted to leave, the manor resisted, its unseen force pulling us back into its clutches. Desperation set in as we retraced our steps, each corridor becoming a labyrinth of endless twists and turns. The very architecture of the manor seemed to shift, confounding our attempts to escape. In a final act of defiance, Blackthorn Manor plunged us into darkness once more. This time, when the light returned, we stood outside the gates, the manor looming behind us like a malevolent specter. The cryptic invitation had been a trap, a gateway into a realm where time twisted and reality bent to the will of unseen forces. As we stumbled away from Blackthorn Manor, the echoes of its haunting tales clung to us, etching their mark on our souls. The line between the living and the supernatural had blurred, leaving us with a chilling truth. Some places are not meant to be explored, and the price of unlocking their mysteries may be a descent into a darkness that can never be escaped.